the show.
Hey, yo, back. Had a brief trip to Mexico. It was about, I don't know, 30 miles south of Mexico City. I was there for just 4 days. Got back last night. Yeah, I had some books waiting. Or actually, books that arrived today and some other books that were waiting for me. The stuff that arrived today is what we're going to go through. Just some quick channel related stuff, updates. I saw that both Biggie and Matt got their boxes safely, so I'm happy about that. So Biggie did an unboxing, and he's happy with his, so I'm happy about that. And I think Matt is going to do his unboxing today, so I'm fingers crossed. I hope he likes the stuff I sent. Like I said, I always try to send people things that are tailored to what I think they're going to like. So I hope Matt likes what I picked out for him. Anyway, yeah, thank you again, both of you guys, and to anybody that helps out and has helped this small channel grow. It's growing. Weird stuff with the channel though, man. Like, went up to like 117 subscribers yesterday, and then went back down to 116. And then I went down to 115 today. And I was like, I didn't even post a video, man. What are you guys hating? Like, I can see if I post a video, especially if it's like controversial and people are like, oh, Chonko, blah, 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 blah. Blah, we're out of here. That I get. But it's like, who's just like, because I didn't post a video in a couple days? I'm like, come on. But then it went right back up to 117. So I think it's just some weird glitch. It's like, I don't know. But I do check it every day. Like I check to see, hey, did somebody subscribe or not? Or, in this case, did somebody unsubscribe for some reason? I don't know. Yeah, I got some new ideas, stuff for the channel. I think I'm going to do some stuff that's going to be really different. Maybe different from, I don't know, any other comic book, channel, and a couple of the ideas are going to be weird. I hope people like it. Going to have kind of a unique, like, weekly review of stuff. We'll see how that goes. But I got an idea for it, and I think it's going to be funny. And going to do some songs to insert at various points. So there's going to be like a brief song when I complain about packaging. There's going to be a maybe a full length song that will be a video at some point, and maybe even a third song for the review segment, like an introduction. These are I mean, the things during the videos are going to be very, very small, but all my former band, like we did for the intro, so it's going to be similar, wacky and silly and hopefully funny. That's the goal, is for it to be people to get at least a mild chuckle out of it. Yeah, just kind of decided I wanted to kind of stretch my wings a little bit and try to experiment with some things that I think people might like, and some things that I think would be funny, and I hope others do. But anyway, doing an unboxing today. Huge unboxing. So yeah, a personal grail, and I think it's a grail probably everyone has. I just need to check the button here and make sure I didn't hit the mute. I think we're good. Yeah. Little story about that. But first, a couple other things that I ordered. This all came from mycomicshop.com. Ding. And the first was, it's a raw book that I've tried to pick up graded multiple times, and anytime I try for it, I get outbid by a lot. Like, people are bidding like so much for this, which it's just a cover buy, and it's a modern cover buy. So it's like, and it's not like any key whatsoever. It's not even a key character or anything. It's just probably the coolest Dave Stevens cover. So I decided, I'll look for it raw, and I checked on mycomicshop.com, and they had one that was really nice, great according to them, and was relatively inexpensive compared to what it would be if it were graded. But yeah, it was on my goal list for this year. This was probably the least expensive of the goals that I've had for like collecting goals, and it is this. It's DNA Agents number 24 with the iconic Dave Stevens cover from 1985. But I think that's just the best Dave Stevens work that there is. I have a lot of Dave Stevens stuff, and this is the one that's eluded me. It's just so damn expensive, but man, is it good. Like, I think of all like 80s kind of good girl art, that's the best. I mean, that's just phenomenal, right? This is why people like Dave Stevens. Stuff like this. I mean, he just like everything about it is cool. I mean, not only is it beautiful, but like even just like the pose of the hand. Like, just there's a lot of delicate stuff to this that makes it really cool and really sexy, and I just think the dude was fantastic and was overrated for a very long time until recently. Oh, did I say underrated for a very long time until recently, and a lot of people, including myself, underrated Dave Stevens. I mean, I knew about the Rocketeer and things, but I didn't know about like the good girl kind of like hot chick stuff, and how fantastic he was, and what a perfectionist he was, and how long he would take, and like everything, the detail is just so good. But anyway, cross that one off my list. That was a book that I've always wanted since I got into Dave Stevens, which I mean, honestly, it was probably a year and a half ago that I really got into Dave Stevens. So always wanted maybe isn't the isn't that long. Then I got this. And this was something where I was just kind of cruising on the site and looking at some various Golden Age titles. As I've said many times, I'm trying to collect the full Witch's Tales run. So I was looking for Witch's Tales that I don't have. But the stuff that I saw, it was either it either looked, it was raw and it looked sketchy to me, and I've had problems buying raw Golden Age comics, or I thought it was a bit overpriced, so I didn't buy any Witch's Tales. But what I did get is something really, really cool. And I need to take it in for a second. And I think there are certain people who are going to really like this. I think like if yeah. Ooh. Like, I think Alan or Steppa would like this one a lot. They've probably seen it, though. This is Blue Beetle number 9 from 1941. And check that out. Yeah, Blue Beetle. It's, sorry about the glare. I always try to do what I can with the glare. I've even put like a screen dimmer on, so to hopefully reduce some of that glare. But yeah, Blue Beetle, like wrestling these demons in hell, and there's like the kind of good girl in the damsel in distress in the red dress being pushed into the fire by this demon here. And he's about to body slam this demon into the fire and all this. And the weird thing about this, like if this were like 1953, everybody would be like, oh yeah, clearly. I mean, that happens all the time. And this is 1941. And this is going on. Like, that wasn't happening on those covers back then. Not really. I mean, this is really, really different for the age that it is. So it's like, I would like to hear like when the first like damsel in distress in red dress, with demons and stuff, when that first became a trope. And I suspect this is a really, really early version of that. And this was not very expensive. And when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I gotta buy that. So Yeah, I did. And then comes the big one. And 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 I'm gonna unbox this. Ooh, oh, blood flowing down south. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody knows this one. And hey, the weird thing is, I've watched other channels like unboxing this specific comic, like at least 3 different times, like this month, where people got their copy of it, and then I noticed it showed up on like the Hot 10 list on Comic Collector app, and on Comic Tom's channel too. He was mentioning it, but I I gotta tell a story before. All right, let me take it in though before I do it. Wow, that's nice. Anyway, I'm gonna reveal it. I promise. I know. It sounds like I'm filibustering, but I'm not. There's a real story. My dad took me to Chicago Comic Con in 1984. Or no, 87. Sorry, 87. No, yeah, 87. And it was really cool because my dad and I didn't do much like when I was a teenager. It was like, he was working a lot. He was just always kind of angry and tired, and I just stayed away from the guy because it was like, it was not going to be good. Like if he had to talk to you, it wasn't be a good thing. But somehow I convinced the guy to take me to Chicago Comic Con in 1987, and this was kind of at the height of my young collecting. Man, my beard's weird. I just trimmed this thing too. Damn it. But at the height of my like Chicago, I mean, my comic collecting as a teenager, like I was full in, both feet into comics, and it was the first time I've ever gone to a comic convention, and it was kind of cool. They were like, Jack Kirby was there. We met Jack Kirby. I don't have anything from Jack Kirby, but one of the things we had, and this is just a side note, but was Mobius was there, and I got this. This Mobius graphic novel. Mobius came over from France, and he kind of wanted to break into comic books. And he had been working on like Heavy Metal, and the movie and the magazine, and it had some American art, but he really wanted to break in the American comic market. And he started to do some comics like Silver. He did a Silver Surfer run. If you're not familiar with Mobius, you need to go be familiar with Mobius. He like fine artists that transferred over into comics and does this stuff that's just so cool and very, very distinctive. If you look at like the top like runner on my these graphic novels don't do Mobius very much justice. But if you've seen the Heavy Metal movie, yeah, this graphic novel isn't doing him justice. A lot of his stuff is so intricate and weird and cool. But at that same comic convention, met Mobius, got in line, had him. I got one of these and I had him sign it. And he remarked it. You can see at the bottom there, Mobius for Mike, Chicago, 1987. And I don't know if that's supposed to be what I looked like at 15, 16 years old when I was there. But he did that just on his own. Like, we just asked him to sign it. And he remarked it on the... I've had it all these years. I think I've mentioned this in like the 10 comics I would save from a fire. Anyway. At that same comic convention, I had a certain amount of money. I think I had like $100-something. And there was a Hulk 181. And I loved Wolverine. I wanted a Hulk 181. Even at that time, I knew what it was, right? And I convinced my dad to like go in halves with me or something. It was like $200-something, which back then was a shit ton of money for a comic book. But I was convinced. I was like, Dad, this is going to be worth a lot of money. And whatever I did, I convinced him somehow to go in on it with me. And then, around that same time, I somehow bought a Spider-Man 129 too. So my two favorite characters at the time were Wolverine and Punisher. And somehow I got a hold of both of those. And I kept them. I went off to the military when I was 19. And so I got them when I was probably 16. And went off to the military when I was 19. sometime around like 21 years old. I think when I was maybe 20 and 21, in consecutive years, I did not have enough money for Christmas presents. And I had these comics at my parents' house, and I went the one year and I sold, the Spider-Man 129 and to get money for Christmas. And I went to like the local comic shop. I didn't know where else to sell it back then. I didn't even really know what it was. But, obviously back then, in the early 90s, raw copy. And you would go into these comic shops and you do the song and dance. And the local comic shop guy back then would screw you out of your comic. That's what would happen because they knew more than you did. And they'd be like, oh, well, that's not in great shape. I'll give you, and whatever it was I was going to take because I was broke in the military and broke, and I needed to buy Christmas presents. So the first year, I think when I was 20 years old, I sold my Spider-Man 129. The very next year, or maybe it's 2 years later, in 1994, I sold my Hulk 181, which was like the last thing in the world I wanted to sell. And got whatever out of it. Probably, who knows what fraction of what it was worth. Anyway, fast forward many years later, this is one of the reasons why I'm a proponent of grading valuable comics, because some dickhead is going to try to screw you. And the dickheads back then made a lot of hay off of people who didn't know as much as they did. So yeah, and by the way, if you are one of those dickheads who was making a lot of money off kids coming in your shop, fuck you. I'm saying it. Fuck you. But anyway, that's not the flavor of this. It shouldn't be. This should be a happy thing. Last year, I was able to finally, after 30 years or so, I was able to replace this. I was able to replace my Spider-Man 129 with a 9.0. This is definitely in a better grade than what I had. And my 129 was actually a really nice copy. But I'm confident this is better. So was able to check that off my list after, like more than 30 years. I got that on an auction. I probably paid too much for it, to be honest with you. It was one of these auctions where I was bidding on it and got into a little bit of a bidding war. It was like one of the very first auctions that I did when I got back kind of into like heavy collecting. I'd been collecting like, trade paperbacks and omnibus editions or, comics here and there. But when I really decided I was going to like go after, big comics, when I like maybe a year and a half ago, not quite 2 years ago, I decided I was going to sell off maybe some of my more valuable stuff that I didn't really want anymore. And I was going to go after some big stuff like, golden age stuff and stuff that I really, really wanted. So that's kind of what I did. But anyway, it all culminates to this. I put bids in on a couple different issues of this that I one was on Comic Link where I was barely outbid. I told the story I was probably outbid by like $120, and I should have gone up maybe a little bit higher on that one. That was a 7.5. And then a few weeks ago, I put in an offer on one, like a best offer on one on my comic shop, an 8.0. And the person just refused the offer. It wasn't that much less than what they were asking. So I was a little surprised by that, but I was like, whatever, I don't care. And then last week, put in another offer on an 8.5, and which I thought it was like fair. It was just under fair market value. This person was asking just over, and I thought it was going to be like they were going to like offer me fair market, but no, they just accepted what I offered, and it's this. It is a Hulk 181 and an 8.5. This is better than what I had way back then. I know that. Yeah, so now the two comics that I sold and got screwed out of by, dirty, slimy, old school comic guys way back then, I've been able to replace. It took 30 something years, to do that. And, I didn't want to get like just a crappy copy. I wanted to get good copies of both. Like I wanted to get, each of them I wanted to be, in a grade and, with a cover where I was like, yeah, I was really proud to have that. That was kind of like my thing. If I was going to replace it, I was going to replace it and have it be something that I keep, that doesn't go anywhere. Like, so these are our keeper copies. I have no intention of upgrading them for sure. And I have no intention of selling these, short of like some horrible tragedy in my life where I had to get rid of everything. That would be like the only reason. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the story, after, 30 plus years, I have been made whole. The two from my youth, Grail comics, and one second, I just to show this again because it's important. On top of that, I had a third Grail back then that I never had, and I have now. And I have a Giant Size X-Men #1. And that, so, like the 3 Grails that I had when I was 16, 17 years old, the 2 that I was able to acquire, and the one I never was able to acquire, I now have all 3 of them. So, these are I mean, they represent everything that I wanted when I was a kid, and I didn't have close to the money to afford somehow. And it's always been kind of, a collecting goal. I have all 3, and none of these are going anywhere. There might come a time where I might upgrade the Giant Size X-Men 1 because it's 6.5, but I mean, it's still really nice. It's probably done. I think those are crossed off the list. And now it's just probably just all Golden Age stuff right now that I'm after. Anyway, yeah, that's it. I think the next video is going to be weird. It's going to be this review idea that I have, and I might get some help. This guy followed me back from Mexico, and he might jump in and help with this review. He's kind of wild. He's already drank all the beer in my house, and I should go check on it because he's probably breaking something right now. I don't know. I don't even know how he got in, but he's a weird dude, and he might do this next this review segment. God help us all. Anyway, that's all I have for today, buddies. Streams tonight. Remember, Alan's got a stream and Biggie's got a stream tonight. I was thinking about doing a stream, but I think it would interrupt, either one of theirs, and I don't want to interrupt either of those guys' streams because they're buddies, and I want everybody's streams to be cool. But yeah, I'll be hanging out on Alan's stream and Biggie's stream, and if Biggie has, shares a link, maybe I'll join in. But anyway, I hope all of you are doing well. I hope your week was great. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God I'm back. I'm done with travel for a while, man. Yeah, I hope all the people in your life are doing well. And hey, get well. Big Fun Dan. And yeah, that's it. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Cheers.